Are all religions qualitatively the same? Is there a fundamental difference between groups like Paramahansa Yogananda's Self-Realization Fellowship and L. Ron Hubbard's Scientology, or Kirpal Singh's Ruhani Satsang and Reverend Moon's Unification Church? Yes, there most certainly is, according to integral thinker Ken Wilber, precisely because not all religious movements have the same spiritual goals, teachings, and techniques. Simply put, the new religions are social reflections of man's own ontogenetic growth. Not everyone has obtained Piaget's level of formal operational, or Maslow's level of self-actualization, or Sri Aurobindo's idea mind. Rather, what we see in human development is a stratification of various levels of structural adaptation. It is Wilbur's contention that religious movements likewise image this same type of disparity. The crucial question, therefore, is not whether or not there are differences between religions, old or new, but how does one actually judge the differences? Ken Wilber has devised a comprehensive, if arguable, hierarchical map with which to adjudicate the relative level at which particular religious movements are functioning. This schema can be defined in several ways, including 1. The pre-personal, pre-rational, or the subconscious, 2. The personal, rational, or self-conscious, and 3. Transpersonal, transrational, or superconscious. Each of these stages is composed of further levels. In his book, A Sociable God, Wilbur breaks it down into 10 major subdivisions, ranging from the archaic to the causal. Adjudication follows two avenues, vertical and horizontal, or in Wilbur's parlance, transformative and translative. The first is a hierarchical assessment determining the specific level of consciousness or evolutionary adaptation. The latter is a measurement of the degree of integration, organization, and stability of or within a given level of development. With regard to the analysis of religions, these correlatives are termed authenticity and legitimacy. The more authentic a religion is, for example, the further up the hierarchy it will be. A more legitimate religion, on the other hand, is one that unifies its followers better to that particular, albeit limited, stage of consciousness. This approach is called Transcendental Sociology, and it follows Noam Chomsky's lead in language studies, since the social psychologist wants to appraise the deep structure of a religion's focus and connect it to the surface structure process of integrating such an aspiration into the day-to-day lives of its participants. Thus, religions like Roman Catholicism, which take material objects such as bread and wine, and believe that only an authorized priest can, through a prescribed set of ritual chants, transform them into body and blood of their founder, Jesus Christ, reflects a magical level of consciousness, which is decidedly pre-rational, even if church theologians attempt to ideologically spin it otherwise. In Wilbur's model, this reflects a primitive stage of consciousness, and would be on the lower rung of the authenticity ladder. However, because so many people believe in this thaumatology, it acts as a very powerful social bonding mechanism within the community, since it can and often does cohere diverse segments at large. As such, it has a high degree of legitimacy because of its powerful integration. On the other end of the spectrum, meditation practices such as mindfulness in Buddhism and self-inquiry in Advaita Vedanta in Hinduism, because they directly try to access higher forms of consciousness within and beyond the rational mind, have a comparatively high degree of authenticity, even if in some orthodox communities they have a lesser degree of legitimacy, since they may be regarded as outliers. Ironically, adjudicating authenticity appears to be a much easier proposition than estimating the legitimacy of any one religion because of wide cultural variances. Wilbur's methodology accordingly salvages the relative truth claims of each academic discipline, from biology to psychology, while it, at the same time, determines in terms of overall sociological theory whether or not a particular engagement is higher than another. For instance, there is a fundamental difference between individuals freely choosing their respective spiritual practices without communal consequences and those members of groups like Jonestown who are quite literally forced to drink the Kool-Aid. Perhaps this hierarchical approach can be best summarized by the pithy insights of Edward Harrison, as outlined in his remarkable book, Mask of the Universe, where he argues that the penalty for greater knowledge is greater doubt. Thus, any religion that seeks for something transcendent must by its very pursuit be open to and accept being potentially wrong in its projective arcs. This is why science has made such tremendous progress over the past few centuries, and fundamentalist religions have more or less remained stagnant. A genuine quest for the transcendent doesn't abrogate the critical mind, but welcomes it as a necessary pruning device to distinguish the merely pre-rational from the trans-rational. In sum, a religion that demands unyielding belief and allegiance belongs to humankind's mythic past, since it is unwilling to evolve and change with new information. Transcendental sociology points to a systematic process whereby one is not deceived by that most dangerous of temptations, the pre-trans fallacy. This is where one mistakenly confuses an advertisement for the real product, or a map for the territory, or a symbol for reality. This is humorously and quite brilliantly captured by the famous Zen koan, where the master points at the moon to show its luminosity to his new disciple, only to have his disciple look exclusively at his finger.